been hard at it in the yard, but there's some exciting things going on out here, so I thought it would be a good time to do the June garden update. So let's get started. So I thought we would start with the baskets. I did a video on how I prepare these, and then the fertilizer regimen, 1 week of humic acid, and then the next week doing liquid feed. And you can see they're coming along really nicely. Most of these perennials came from our friends over at Pax Nursery. So if you're in Northeast Alabama, go check those guys out. But we have some geraniums and some salvias and marigolds, and that's some variegated citronella and some petunias and things like that. We have a few more over here on the other post. And you can see these guys are looking really nice. Man, oh man, have these taken off. I believe in the May video these were still almost looking like babies, but here again, using that alternating week between liquid feed and humic acid, they have taken off, especially the marigolds. There's some vinca around here as well. I did a video on how I installed these, and the marigolds have really kind of taken over, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. So here's our vinca. This verbena here is looking really nice as well. I bought these bee balms from Lowe's on the clearance rack last fall. They were $1 a piece. They were mismarked. They had them marked as salvia, but I'm okay with that. They've been gorgeous. They're easy to maintain, and the pollinators have been all over them. In the back here, those are some volunteer tomatoes. So during lockdown and COVID last year, we had a lot of tomatoes back here. We were just giving them away to neighbors. We had so many of them, and I decided instead of picking them or spraying them with Roundup, I was going to let them grow and see what we get. I suspect any day now these black-eyed Susans, we'll start seeing some color. I got to digging around in there this afternoon, and there's some buds. They should play nicely with these Leotris. I recently did a video on Leotris. This is my first year having those, and so I'm real excited to see how the black-eyed Susans and the Leotris play with each other in terms of color scheme. We've got some salvias popping up and some verbenas popping up. There's some salvia here, variegated butterfly bush, no color on it yet, but this is one of my favorites just because of the texture. It has a nice scent, and then it has these nice little purple flowers. This is Russian sage. It's coming on really nice as well. We have some echinacea that's heavily budded and starting to bloom here. So things are coming alive in the perennial garden here in the month of June. I would imagine we're going to hit our peak flower period here in about 4 weeks. Another little annual bed. This one got messed up. So these are some zinnias in here with some marigolds, and we had a very hard freeze in early May, and we came out here and we put bed sheets over the top of these annuals. I planted these like April 15th, and on like May the 2nd or something like that, we got down to 28 degrees, which is highly unusual. And even though I had a sheet over these, I did lose some of these zinnias. This should already be filled in, especially down on this end down here. So I did lose, I don't know, 5 or 6 of them. But I think here in the next few weeks these will fill in nice, and that'll be a nice mass of color. Our balloon flower is in full glory, nice purple flowers. Just above it we have Stella de Oro. It's kind of getting past its peak bloom just a smidge. And then back behind here we have tetraploid daylilies. Some people refer to these as ditch daylilies because they grow in the ditch. But my wife does love these, so I stuck a few in here for her. And they play nice with the other colors. Milkweed is blooming. It is in full bloom, looking really nice here. Now you may notice in other videos there was a very large Foster holly here. I believe it was original to the house. This house was built in 2004, and so that Foster holly was in the wrong spot they get extremely large. And so after 20 years, you can see here, that's probably 10 or 11 feet up to the top of the gutter. It was constantly in the gutter. I had renewal pruned it twice, got fed up with it, so I broke out the chainsaw, I cut it down, and put in a dissectum Japanese maple here. This is one that I grafted myself. It's still a baby, but it'll fill this area in nicely. I'm going to come back in, just like a lot of you guys. A perennial garden is something to constantly play around with. You're constantly changing out plants and colors and things like that. And so I'm going to come back in. I'm going to put in some perennials in and around here, probably in the fall. I'm not going to do it now in the middle of summer because I don't want to have to constantly water those. So if you have some suggestions for some nice perennials, this gets morning sun and afternoon sun till about 3 o'clock, and then from about 3 o'clock on it's in the shade. So if you have some nice suggestions for this area, please put it down in the comment section below. So this is something new to this area. I'm sitting on the bench back behind the house here, and this is Solomon seal. I actually transplanted this. It was underneath that Foster holly that I cut down. It was just getting out competed by everything else. I moved it up under this water oak so it could get some shade. But the Hosta garden here is looking pretty good. The goal here, as I've mentioned before, is to have this just a mass of hostas and no pine straw showing. And I think we'll make some serious headway this year. I got some big hosta bulbs over the winter. I got some in substance. I've got Big Daddy to go in around some of these Francis Williams and some of these area marginatas. So I think it'll start to fill in really nice. We are starting to get some flowers here on our hostas. I have not ventured into how to crossbreed and collect seed on hosta. If you are familiar with that, please leave a comment in the comment section and let me know your experience and how you did that. Because here again, I think I may want to get into breeding some of these hostas, just like I've got into breeding some of these daylilies. I found the genetics behind it pretty fascinating. But the hostas are coming along very, very nice. One other thing I did add back here, I've mentioned in other videos, this neighborhood's getting built out behind us. 3 or 4 years ago, there was not a single house back there. Now there's tons of houses in this lot behind me. It's only a matter of time. So I put in, actually started these from cuttings last year and put them in 1 gallon pots. These are forsythia. I'm just going to let them get really big. I've got, I don't know, 6 or 7 of them in here. They go all the way down to my wood pile for my chimenea on the patio. And I'm going to let them get big and tall. I've got some little gem magnolias cuttings started as well. And so my goal is to plant maybe a dozen little gems along the back to make a screen back here. So I'll have like a terraced screen. I'll have the azaleas, and then above that I'll have the little gem magnolias as well. This is my daylily trial garden, and you can see here, I believe in the May video we had no flowers at all, but we have lots of flowers now, and all of these are seedlings. These are originals for the most part. Some of these were given to me as known cultivars, but a good friend of mine up in Arab, Alabama, Mr. Corey Johnson, gave me a bunch of tetraploid seed a few years back, and this is the results. Just beautiful. I mean, just to give you some perspective, you know, 6-7 inch diameter flowers on some of these guys. Here's another one that's in full glory right here. Just really, really nice colors and varieties that we have going on here. And you can see a lot of these haven't even opened up yet. And so we're going to be going full blast here in the daylily garden. I would say in about 2 or 3 weeks this will be in peak bloom, so stay tuned. I am a huge fan of using grasses in the perennial garden because it is a perennial. This is zebra grass. The foliage on it is, I just love it. Has that nice variegation in it. It adds nice textures to the garden. I have some maiden grass going over here as well. This acts as a temporary screen. So this gets pretty tall. It screens off some stuff, and then in the winter, of course, I'll cut it back. But we're not out here a lot in the winter. We have a lot of cold, rainy weather, and so we don't spend a lot of time out here on the patio. But you can see that screens off pretty nice. And the pink muhly grass as well. We're right on the northern fringe for using pink muhly grass. It does okay here, but it's starting to fill back in as well.